Ephesians 5 and basically said I would commit my life to you and die for you.
Being mindful of like bringing these moments to God and like actively like praying.
Now we living together and it's all this stuff popping up that is like, oh, this is when the classic, she changed. Welcome back for another episode of Bolden Matrimony. We live in love boldly in Christ. I'm Robert Bolden. This is my wife,
Corey Bolden.
This is my junior, but technically the third.
Robert Bolden the third.
Yes. So the side that you guys heard, literally everything was set up sweet. He was in his little cradle over there rocking.
Yeah, we got up, got him ready, breastfed him, and he was
just chilling for probably 45 minutes, and then we sat down to record, and
he starts with
started going in. So I think he just wanted to be in the spotlight. So
video.
That's okay. Otherwise, I think it's fitting that we have him here today because it's the majority of what we'll be talking about in our birth story and how that went. It was a very long time. It was a pretty intense time for the both of us. Well, for you more than myself, I'm sure. But just wanted to recap that and kind of show what the experience was from your perspective, from my perspective, and give some insight. I think the fellas could use some tips and insight onto what that process is going to look like so that they can prepare. So, where do we start with that?
Well, we unofficially introduced him in one of our last videos, and I think he was probably a couple weeks or maybe a few weeks old at that point.
Probably a few weeks.
Yeah, now he is going on 2 months. I can't believe that was 2 months ago. We had him on Inauguration Day. He came on January the 20th. And like Rob said, it was definitely like an experience, a journey. We just to kind of start from when it all started, we had actually the day before was
your hair is cute.
Thank you. I'm like, what are you looking at? Thank you. The day before was the Lions game, and we shall not talk about that.
She doesn't want to rehash it.
No, let's not rehash that. But it was the last game that they were in, and we had some friends over, and Rob had woke up that morning and was like, "Yeah, let's have some friends." Well, no, it was 2 days before he was born. It was the day before we went in the hospital. So on Saturday, it was the game. We woke up. Rob was like, "Let's have some friends over." So we invited some friends over. We had a really cool time, nacho bar. I was having a really good day. I was on my feet all day. Went to the grocery store. I was in super host mode. And I honestly we need to do another video on just our pregnancy journey too. But yeah, we'll do that. But I had a really great pregnancy. He was very active, but I didn't have any nausea or anything like that. And in my 3rd trimester, I still was kind of upbeat and very mobile and stuff like that, moving around. So that day I was just feeling good, getting stuff together, hosting for for our little pre-Super Bowl party and doing stuff around the house, hosting all that stuff. And so that night, it was it was Sunday morning, early Sunday morning at 3 a.m. I started having contractions, and I was like, okay, and they were coming like every 8 minutes. And I was like, all right, babe, I think something is happening. And went to the bathroom, saw something that I won't get too graphic, but it saw something that caused some concern. And so I was like, all right, well, I called the doctor, and then we have a couple doctors in our family on my side, and they all pretty much recommended we go in. So we went in around 7 a.m. and they're monitoring my contractions. Now my contractions are sporadic, but whenever I have a contraction, the baby's heart rate decelerates. And they're like, yeah, he doesn't really like the contractions. His heart rate, it dips every time you have a contraction. So we're gonna need to like keep monitoring you. And we're like, no, this is not a part of our birth plan. We went into labor at home.
Literally right away, the plan that we had thrown out the window.
It was totally thrown out the window. So what scripture is this? Many are the plans in a man's heart, but the Lord's purpose prevails. So, yes. So we went. We agreed to. We were pushing back for a minute, but we were like, my aunt. We were consulting with my aunt, who's an OB, on the phone, and she was just like, "No, you need to," because our OB was actually out of town, and that was a whole nother thing because we were like, wait, what?
And we're having our baby.
Yeah, she just so happens to be out of town. So like we're talking to a we never met the other OB because she was kind of like communicating through her staff. She wasn't in the office, or in the hospital yet. So we're like, okay, we don't really know this person. And then at the same time, I'm like on the phone with my aunt and cousin, who both of whom are OBs, obstetrician, gynecologist, and we were like, and they're like, or my aunt said, she was like, you need to stay, because I hear he had an arrhythmia, like his heart rate was not steady.
They had the heartbeat out loud, so even over the phone, she could like hear
Yeah,
it.
she was like, I can hear it over the phone. Like, you need to stay and have your baby.
Don't trip.
He needs to burpee. Yeah, okay, good.
He's fine.
Okay, so we get checked in or admitted to the hospital, and they're monitoring the contractions and the heart rate, and nothing's really happening in terms of like my dilation. I think at one point on my own I dilated like 1 or 2 centimeters, and then they wind up inducing my labor like late into Sunday night, late into Sunday night going into Monday morning. And so they're basically kind of stalling because my doctor is like on her way home from like a family. She was out of town seeing family, and so she basically told the staff to kind of like stretch it out for as long as possible so she could be back in time to deliver. So she gets back Monday morning. Like I said, they induced my labor overnight, so I'm literally like laboring the entire day Sunday, and going into Monday. I labored pretty much the majority of the day Monday too, because I wound up having him at 2:40. We had around 2:43 p.m. on Monday, which was his actual. Oh, we didn't mention Monday, January 20th was his due date, so he came right on his due date too. But anyway, yeah. So I'm laboring, and we're like, I'm breathing through contractions. Rob is just amazing. Like we're breathing through the contractions together. Our doula is there. Everything.
She was really helpful.
She was amazing. Shout out to Michelle. Like she was my sister's doula as well for our niece River. And she's actually my brother-in-law's cousin. But anyway, yeah. So Michelle, she was great. She was providing like all the support and just helping us be as comfortable as possible. Rob, he was just the most amazing partner. I mean, he of course he is
for that day. You mean?
But yeah, for that day or for that moment and experience, you were just so super supportive and breathing through me and just encouraging me. I had my mom was there. It was people kind of in and out of my mom, my sister. His mom was there for a while. My aunt, like it was a lot. But
so I'm gonna just stop the video right here and start to play some of the clips that we gathered from the delivery process. So we got all kind of stuff in there from our doula to me and Corey, being able to go through that process together. Wanted you guys to see it. We got it documented, so definitely go use it. Check it out, and we'll be back to the regular video soon. So we woke up this morning. Well, Corey woke up about 3:15 and had her first contraction, which brought us here to the hospital. And here we are. Babe, how you feeling?
Very, I don't know how to describe it. Just want it to be over.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we got Bean working with mommy. Mommy working with Bean. Over there is they can't really see it, but there's a screen that has his heart rate and her contractions and all of that. By the time I get out of here, I'm gonna be really good at reading. I'll keep y'all in the mix. Before you know it, little homie will be here.
It was a lot, but it was great. Yeah. So yeah, we labored through the night, and they had to induce my labor. They had to put a catheter. It was very like a lot of things that were happening. It went by so fast, but at the same time, it felt like forever. It was just a lot going on. So like, where do I start? Okay, so they induced my labor through the staff overnight as I'm laboring. It's like, oh my gosh, you're doing so great. Like you're doing great with the and the contractions were intense, and I was like breathing through them, and they were like, you cope so well, like, really well. Yeah, they were like, you are coping so well, and I'm like, you were trying to do it without the what's it called, the shot they give you to numb the pain. Oh yeah, without the epidural. Yeah, that was also part of our plan. Was like no epidural, natural birth, like all the things that you just have these high expectations. And we had a code word just in case. Yeah, and got a little too. Yeah, we had a safe word, just in case. We didn't totally rule out the epidural, but we were like, that would have to be the absolute last resort. We didn't want to go into it saying, okay, I'm gonna get the epidural type thing. So we had a safe word for when it got to the point where I'm like, oh no, give me the epidural. So, where was I? So yeah, they're telling me I'm doing great. Then my OB, my doctor comes Monday morning and she checks everything, and she's like, "Yeah, you're still at 5 centimeters. Like this after laboring for all day Sunday." And I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" She's like, "Yeah, you're not even in active labor yet." And so I'm like, what have I been doing for the past 24 hours? Like, what is going on? So, long story short, there were the nursing staff, they were so encouraging. They were like, we can still try, different positions to like get him to drop and to get you dilated more. And by the time we got to the last position, I was like, y'all, let's just do what we got to do to get him out safely. Like, that was our main concern. I mean, yeah, for a minute it was like, people make a big deal over like natural birth versus having a C-section and stuff like that. But, and for a minute that kind of got to both of us.
That's where you really got to kind of check yourself.
Yeah.
'Cause especially as a man, like, we had talked about a lot of this beforehand, but when you're in it, it's a little bit different because you do cling to wanting to do it naturally and having your plan in place and all that kind of stuff. But you never want to be in conflict with your partner in that room. Like, everything has to be on the same page, because my goal was not to divert her attention away from like getting this baby here properly. So when they asked, they're like, "Oh, we're thinking we're gonna have to do a C-section," all that kind of stuff. In my flesh, I'm like, "No, like, let's keep pushing, let's keep doing." But also, what came out of me was like, "All right, cool, we gonna get this baby out. We about to have it." So it was like what was happening inside of me was totally different than what actually came out, and I thank God for that, because I think that gave her a lot of like comfort in knowing that like I was cool with uh, making it happen any way that we could.
Yeah. And so, yeah, that was our main thing. We were like, okay, just like he said, just had to snap out of it and be like, look, the main goal is to get our son here safely, and that he's healthy and that I'm healthy. And yeah, so we snapped out of that real quick. But yeah, prior to that, when she told me that I hadn't even been in active labor, they had to give me Pitocin. And for anyone, all my mamas out there who have delivered babies, you know what Pitocin is, okay? That's basically a synthetic. So oxytocin is the natural hormone that, stimulates the contractions.
And that's why our doula was telling us, because it's the love.
It's the love hormone.
So like
it's
kissing
and hugging,
touching, hugging, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and so it was a very intimate labor, in terms of like, us hugging and, praying and worshiping and all that. Yeah, we'll share some moments we captured, but yeah, Pitocin induces the contractions and, all of that. So they gave me the Pitocin, and when I tell y'all those control, I literally cannot explain the level of
that was hard to watch.
Intensity. I'm trying to use my words a lot because I don't want to scare anyone, but it's definitely durable, but it was intense for me, and everyone has different pain tolerance levels. So
I feel like your tolerance
mine was pretty high, but all that to say, some people can take that level that I wasn't as tolerable for me. So anyway, I want to keep it as, PG or general as possible to not like scare people. But yeah, so it was like very intense for me, and I was like, all right, bring on that epidural. Pineapple. That was a safe word. I literally was like, pineapple. And like Rob, he's like, you sure, babe? And I'm like, pineapple, bring me the epidural right now, stat.
Yeah,
so
she was over it. At this point, it's been a very
I was in labor for 36 hours. So I'm like, bring me the juice and let's get this baby out. And so that's what happened. And we were on the they took me to the operating room and had the procedure, and Rob was right there with
that
me.
Was a very
He captured some. We will not share this footage, but he actually got a picture of them like in video when they took the baby out.
I've seen more of my wife than she has herself.
I'm literally like just organs everywhere, like I'm just like, wow.
Every aspect of her, stomach open,
yeah,
baby coming out. I even saw the what do you call the little thing, cervix.
Babe, okay, you don't have to share all that.
I saw everything.
All right. So anyway, yeah. So it was very graphic, but it was extremely beautiful. Like and hearing his cry. I mean, granted, I'm out of it. I'm still conscious,
Like I
but
could
I'm
still
just
talk
like
to her.
very loopy from the anesthesia, and just from just exhausted from being in labor for so long. And so I'm just like the whole time in my head, I'm just like, Lord, please just let him be delivered safely and let this go by swiftly because I am ready to, ready for this to be done. So, but yeah, he came and he was just the most beautiful baby. And I heard he has a strong warrior cry. If y'all like, were we recording when he was crying a little bit before we started
I don't
feeding him?
know.
Yeah, well,
I don't think.
he is very vocal. He lets his voice be heard.
Additionally, when in the surgery, so you have a curtain that's up. You have Corey on one side of the curtain with me, and you have on the other side where they're operating. So obviously you can hear everything. So as they're operating on my wife, you hear just all this stuff. I'm like, that's hard. And she's like awake and like talking and like
But I
not.
don't feel anything. I just felt the pressure of them moving stuff around.
Yeah, and she's like kind of gagging and all this stuff. That was kind of hard to watch. But once they get finished, the doctor or OB, she's like, Rob, stand up, get a picture. I'm like, wait, I can like use my phone and all this kind of stuff. So I don't know what I'm gonna expect or what I don't know what to expect once I stand up. But on the other side of this curtain, that's what I'm saying. Like literally everything is open. First thing I see is him, and he's stretched out like full fledged stretched out. I'm like, wow, that is a very long baby.
Mm-hmm.
And I look down, there's just blood flowing everywhere. It's like super graphic. I'm kind of surprised I didn't like fall out or anything, but I was able. The OB is like, get a picture, get a picture. I'm like scrambling for my phone. It took me a minute to even do that, just because I just was stuck. She's like looking at me like, get a picture, and I'm just staring. But I eventually get it out, and the picture was like actually really cool. I'm glad that we did, but they're trying to hurry up during the C-section. They try to hurry up once the baby is out to like clean them off and get them to the back to do all of the tests and all that kind of stuff. So I was really glad that we captured that, but I was shocked that I was able to actually take all of that in because I don't have a stomach for a lot of that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I was very shocked too, and they were like actually really good pictures.
Yeah.
So,
and one of the best ones the one of the doctors actually took.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, we used that for. Yeah, we'll show that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was very very beautiful. It was like I said, it was really intense. It was an intense labor, but it was beautiful. I wouldn't change anything. I would do it all over again. Um, I think my favorite part of our laboring is we worshiped through the entire labor. Like we had worship, our whole playlist together. We prayed. Like I said, like we were saying earlier, like just the oxytocin and just getting that, setting that. We were very intentional about the atmosphere that we wanted to set in bringing our son into the world. And
I think that's a point too to make. And like the conversations before were like our doula was helping us to think about things that could potentially be decisions that have to be made in the moment. And we had at least talked about it to know, like, again, I don't want her to have to be thinking about all of this stuff in real time when she's trying to push the baby out. So me and the doula will essentially be covering all of that. We would have had to have insight and information to be able to make those decisions essentially for her while she's doing what she has to do as well.
Yeah.
So that just alleviates stress because somebody come in, they're asking you a question you never thought of or heard of before. Now she's distracted. Now that boosts her anxiety, and now it's just a lot that can kind of pile on top of that can be prevented. So again, like you'll have a plan, and it might not go as planned, but it's still good to have a plan so that, you know, there
Yeah.
are some preventative things that.
I mean, how, even though everything didn't go as we planned in terms of like the actual birth and, you know, some of the laboring and all of that, it was, how we communicated, was definitely how we planned, how we communicated, and how we, you know, supported, how Rob was very supportive throughout that process, along with our doula, and like I was saying, how intentional we were about, how we brought him into the world, just like with worship and, you know, just having all the love, in the atmosphere, like setting a very specific atmosphere. um so that was very beautiful. That was a beautiful experience. And um I think, you know, one of the main takeaways for me in having experienced that is, you know, just trusting, because I was scared. Like, I said that. I was just like, I'm scared, you know, because there were so many unknowns. It was my first time with it happening. But, you know, one of the things that I just meditated on was like the fact that my body is like built, it's designed for, like, God designed my body to do exactly what it's doing. And even though everything didn't go as we thought it would go or should go or whatever, like, he was so present throughout that entire process. And my takeaway as is for everything else that we've been experiencing, you know, in this season and in our life, is just trusting him. um you know, trusting the Lord and really, really leaning on him, for strength. And so that was the biggest, probably one of the biggest ways that, if not the biggest way that, you know, we did that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, for me, it was a testament of like the mind,
mm-hmm.
because when you can really like focus your mind on, I don't know exactly where it is, but Paul Roach, like, focus on what is true, what is right, what is noble, what is praiseworthy. Like, think on these things. That was part of the conversation that we had. Like, that was, I would say, the core verse that I repeated like constantly. Like, think on these things, think on these things, because your mind is just going to wander to so many different places, and it can be things that are untrue. It can be things that are like not praiseworthy at all.
Mm-hmm.
However, if you can like just focus your mind, it calms you in a sense. I know it's like chaos going on and you're pushing and it's painful and all that kind of stuff. However, like in the midst of that, you can still find like a peace to endure it.
Yeah.
So that was like one of the main things, and even for myself, like trying not to have my mind start rambling and going all over the place. Like, she can see that, and she is essentially feeding off the energy that I'm giving her. And I was appreciative, even in those moments that she communicated, like, I'm scared. Like, my response to that, like, don't be scared. Like, you can't do it that way. Like, we had a whole notes list full of scriptures that would be focused on fear, that would be focused on any like particular topic. So it was very like scripturally based, and I could literally see it. Like when she was kind of ramping up, similar to how he is, you'll ramp up, and then you do something to calm him, and he's like, okay, he can settle into it. So that was cool to see, and that was cool for us to sort of work through that together, so that we could see what it produced, and like he's here now, so let's do it.
Yeah. So that is our birth story. And he, like we said, he's going on 2 months now. And he's just, it's amazing. It's really something to see how much life a child brings into the home. And it's like, I mean, even though we already had a lot going on, you know,
it was I'll share this story. One time where my wife and kid had left the house. I think they went to our cousin's basketball game, and that was the first time in a long time that I hadn't been in the house with the family. I'm like, yo, it's quiet in here.
Like, what? I miss y'all. This is weird.
Like, it's so quiet.
Yeah.
I'm like,
and it's
don't
just
cry.
Like, he, you know, we'll have another more videos on like our parenting, you know, journey and all of this things that we're learning. But it's like the cries and the coos and all of those things, like, and the late nights, and it's just like it's definitely an adjustment, but it's like, man, this is so awesome.
I think it's a scripture. So I don't know what the scripture is, but it says like a baby's cry is a sign of life or something like that.
Yeah, and it's like
you gotta remind yourself of
sometimes that. When he's like super chill, we're like,
yo, you good?
Are you good? Like you don't feel like crying today or nothing? But yeah, he's just brought so much life and joy into our home, into our family, and we are just so grateful to the Lord for entrusting us with this beautiful child that we get to raise and disciple and train up in the Word and all those things. So, but yeah, we'll be sharing more of our journey, and our home updates, y'all. Like, I think the last video, we didn't even have this bookshelf behind it. Wait, we did.
It just wasn't filled out.
Yeah, we'll share like, you know, home decor and improvement updates we've made. It's been a lot. We've been doing a lot around the house, so that's been a journey and just very great as well. Just lots of transitions and things that we're just really, really, really trusting the Lord with this season.
Yeah, so a lot to talk about. We'll catch you guys up. But yeah, next one we'll be digging into what more of my wife said. But that's all for now. I think we already gave takeaways, right?
Yeah, just trusting
the Lord and renewing our minds.
To endure. Yep, so that's it, y'all.
Make sure you guys like, subscribe, do all the things.
Yes, and any mamas out there, please, I am an open book. I am an open, what's the word? I'm just ready to learn all the things, like any tips or, you know, mommyhood, parenthood, dads too. Like, please, we are students of life, and let us know we definitely, this is a time where we are hearing a lot of opinions, different perspectives,
warranted and unwarranted.
But these are all more you're
yeah, we're
asking for any advice, parenting tips, all of the things. So all right, y'all, we'll see y'all next time.
Deuces.